In the small town of Evergreen, nestled between rolling hills and whispering forests, life moved at a gentle pace. It was a place where everyone knew each other, where secrets were scarce and smiles abundant. The town's charm was irresistible, with its cobblestone streets, quaint cottages, and the ever-bustling market square. It was here, in this idyllic setting, that the story of puppy love began. On a crisp autumn morning, 11-year-old Sophie Thompson set out for school, her auburn hair catching the golden rays of the rising sun. She walked with a bounce in her step, her trusty backpack adorned with patches of her favorite animals swinging rhythmically. Sophie loved school, not just for the learning, but for the friends, the laughter, and the adventures each day promised. As she rounded the corner to Maple Street, a small yelp caught her attention. In the distance, she saw a young boy, perhaps a year older than her, struggling to untangle a leash wrapped around a bush. At the other end of the leash was a frisky golden retriever puppy, its tail wagging furiously, evidently more interested in play than in walking. Sophie couldn't help but giggle at the sight. The boy, hearing her laughter, looked up, his face a mix of frustration and embarrassment. His dark hair was tousled, and his cheeks were flushed from exertion. "Need some help?" Sophie called out, stepping closer. The boy hesitated, then nodded. "Yes, please. He's more of a handful than I thought." Sophie carefully approached the puppy, who immediately tried to lick her face. She laughed and gently untangled the leash, her deft fingers working quickly. "There you go," she said, handing the leash back to the boy. "Thanks," he said, a shy smile spreading across his face. "I'm Jack. We just moved here last week." "I'm Sophie. Nice to meet you, Jack." She extended her hand, and he shook it, his grip firm but gentle. As they walked to school together, they talked about their favorite books, their favorite animals, and their dreams. By the time they reached the school gates, a friendship had blossomed, one that was pure, innocent, and full of promise. Weeks turned into months, and Sophie and Jack became inseparable. Their friendship grew stronger with each passing day. They spent countless hours exploring the woods behind their houses, playing fetch with Jack's puppy, whom he had named Max, and sharing their hopes and fears. One winter afternoon, the first snow of the season blanketed Evergreen in a soft white layer. Sophie and Jack, bundled up in their warmest clothes, headed to the town park with Max. The park, usually filled with people, was now a serene winter wonderland, the trees adorned with snow and the ground sparkling in the sunlight. "Let's build a snowman," Sophie suggested, her eyes twinkling with excitement. Jack agreed, and they set to work, rolling large snowballs for the body and head. Max, thinking it was a game, kept running around them, his paws leaving adorable prints in the snow. They laughed as they fashioned a face with pebbles and sticks, and Sophie even sacrificed her scarf to complete the look. As they admired their creation, Jack suddenly looked serious. "Sophie, do you ever think about the future?" Sophie turned to him, surprised by the question. "Sometimes. Why do you ask?" I hope we'll always be friends, no matter what happens," Jack said, his voice earnest. Sophie smiled, feeling a warmth spread through her. "Of course we will. Friends forever, right?" Jack grinned and held out his pinky finger. "Pinky promise?" "Pinky promise," Sophie echoed, linking her finger with his. They spent the rest of the afternoon playing in the snow, their laughter echoing through the park. As the sun set and the sky turned shades of pink and orange, they made their way home, hearts full and cheeks flushed from the cold and excitement. Spring arrived in Evergreen, bringing with it blooming flowers, longer days, and the much-anticipated school dance. For the students of Evergreen Elementary, it was the event of the year, a night of music, dancing, and memories. Sophie was both excited and nervous. She had never been to a dance before, and the thought of dressing up and dancing in front of everyone was daunting. But the idea of sharing this experience with Jack made her heart flutter. On the day of the dance, Sophie's mother helped her pick out a dress, a simple, light blue one that complemented her auburn hair. She twirled in front of the mirror, feeling like a princess. Her mother smiled, brushing a stray curl from Sophie's face. "You look beautiful, sweetheart. Remember to have fun." Jack arrived at Sophie's house, looking dapper in a button-down shirt and a tie that seemed a bit too big for him. He had a nervous smile on his face, holding a small bouquet of daisies. "These are for you." he said, his cheeks turning pink. Thank you, Jack. They're lovely, Sophie replied, taking the flowers and inhaling their sweet scent. They walked to the school together, their hands brushing occasionally, each touch sending a thrill through them. The school gym had been transformed into a magical venue with twinkling fairy lights, colourful streamers, and a DJ playing lively music. Sophie and Jack found their friends and joined them, laughing and chatting as they enjoyed the festivities. As the night went on, slower songs began to play. Jack, feeling a surge of courage, turned to Sophie. "Would you like to dance?" Sophie nodded, her heart racing. They made their way to the dance floor, where Jack awkwardly placed his hands on Sophie's waist, and she rested hers on his shoulders. They swayed to the music, their eyes meeting occasionally, each glance filled with unspoken emotions. In that moment, under the shimmering lights and surrounded by their friends, Sophie and Jack's innocent infatuation blossomed into something deeper. They didn't need words to express what they felt. Their shy smiles and tender glances said it all. As summer approached, life in Evergreen continued to be a mix of adventures and challenges for Sophie and Jack. They spent their days riding bikes, swimming in the local pond, and having picnics in the park. Max was always by their side, his joyful presence adding to their happiness. However, not everything was perfect. As they grew older, their innocent infatuation began to face the trials of adolescence. Rumors and gossip spread through the school, fueled by jealousy and misunderstandings. One afternoon, Sophie overheard some girls talking in the bathroom. "Do you think Sophie and Jack are a couple?" one of them whispered. "I heard they are. But honestly, Jack could do better," another replied, giggling. Sophie felt a pang of hurt, but tried to brush it off. However, the seed of doubt was planted. She began to wonder if Jack truly liked her, or if he was just being kind. Their friendship seemed to be under a microscope, and every gesture and word was analysed by their peers. One evening, as they sat on Sophie's porch, she decided to confront her feelings. "Jack, do you think people are right about us?" Jack looked at her, confusion in his eyes. "What do you mean? Are we just friends, or is there something more?" Sophie asked, her voice trembling. Jack took a deep breath, his mind racing. He had always known he cared deeply for Sophie, but he hadn't given much thought to labeling their relationship. I care about you a lot, Sophie, more than anyone else, but I don't know what that means exactly. All I know is that I want us to stay close, no matter what." Sophie nodded, feeling a mixture of relief and uncertainty. "Me too, Jack. I guess we'll figure it out together." Their bond remained strong, but the doubts lingered, adding a layer of complexity to their once simple friendship. They navigated the challenges of growing up, leaning on each other for support and comfort. The summer after 7th grade marked a turning point for Sophie and Jack. Their bond had survived the trials of adolescence, growing stronger with each shared experience. One warm July evening, they visited their favourite hill overlooking Evergreen, where they often watched the sunset. "Do you remember when we first met?" Jack asked, breaking the comfortable silence. Sophie smiled, nodding. "Of course, you and Max were a tangled mess." Jack chuckled. "Yeah, I was pretty embarrassed, but I'm glad we met. You've been the best friend I could ever ask for." Sophie's heart swelled with affection. "Me too, Jack. I don't know what I'd do without you." After a few moments of silence, Jack turned to her, his expression serious. "Sophie, I've been thinking, maybe it's time we give this a chance." Sophie's eyes widened. "What do you mean?" "I mean, maybe we should try being more than friends. I don't want to lose what we have, but I also don't want to miss out on what could be," Jack said, his voice filled with emotion. Sophie's heart raced. She had always felt something more for Jack, but hearing him say it made her feel a rush of emotions, fear, excitement, and hope. "Okay," she whispered, "let's give it a chance." Jack smiled, and they held hands, feeling a new chapter beginning, one filled with the promise of love and the continuation of their deep bond. As the sun set, casting a golden glow over Evergreen, Sophie and Jack sat together, ready to face whatever the future held. Their innocent infatuation had blossomed into a love that was pure, strong, and enduring, promising a lifetime of adventures and cherished moments.